Abela thrives on repurposing glass, making elegant jewellery from the necks of Bombay gin bottles, or crashing the glass and fashioning it into highly distinctive glass bowls. Marlene talks about what drives her in her artistic endeavours.
Currently, my new body of work is the Nature's Walk, is what I'm working on, and this has derived from these. So, all repurposed, obviously, to get it from this to this. So I was fortunate enough to come across a little shop that purchases things from companies that go out of business, and I got like 50 million of these, which was great at a really good price. The whole process of this coming from here to here is what really excites me. It's just something that there's so many little steps in it to get you to where you get in the end, and then just how you want to showcase that, I suppose. So I've got a Pitcher's Paver, which has been cut from bluestone. Not myself, I purchased it. We've got some brass stands that I cut up and I assemble, and then obviously the glass pieces, which are the open face casting. So it all comes from this. So from this, I hammer this, like hammer the hell out of it, smash it all up, and then I get this. So you've got, and I grade them, and then I just number them. So then when I'm putting them in the mold, I can play with the texture. So I can play with, but when I'm using the powders, I'll get more of an opalescent look. When I'm using the larger pieces, I'm getting more of a transparent look. So, and I place that in the mold. It doesn't always work how I want it, because sometimes you can put a bit too much. So then when I'm working and doing my layering in the mold, I can sort of navigate the transparency of the glass by putting in the powder frit. I can make it more opalescent by using the larger frits. It becomes more transparent. So this is able to happen because this glass is beautiful to work with. Unlike window glass, which I have worked with a lot, I could never get this sort of clarity with the window glass. So that's why I was very, very happy. This melts just beautifully like normal American art glass, even like gaffer glass. So it's a beautiful glass to work with. So I'm really happy with that. So to achieve this, I've pulled out the clay form, of which I embedded a whole lot of, weeds actually, from my walks in the morning that I do. And you can see that the detail work is really, really, really good. I'm really, really happy with that. So to get to there, I've made my mold. I put my plaster silica, and of course I put some other parts in there. And from that, I'm going to lift it. And there's my clay. And then from here, I'm just going to pull this out. Okay, here we go. Lifting. Everyone knows you just got to be really patient when you're doing this. And so if you have an undercut, you're going to break the mold. You're going to pull it off. And then here we go. Slowly, the reveal. And it's just great, isn't it? Okay, so then obviously I'll want to keep this. So I'll just wet it and put it back into the clay. And then you have, this is what you're going to put the glass into. But obviously you can see there's like still bits of clay in there. So you just got to clean all that up. And maybe even just grind back the side. Depends. Like I really like the organic look. So basically I just want to make sure when I pull this out, it's just going to come out easy for me. I don't have to break too much of the mold, make too much of a mess. And just a bit of a tidy up. So once this is dry, then I'll arrange. I just pour it in there. I actually arrange where the glass goes, because I want to be able to see all the detail And then if I want to create sort of like a halo or so around it, I'll put the powder to give that more opalescent look, and so that your eye's drawn to the centre where all the colour will be. But listen, I'm still, like, these are still works in progress. This is only my second lot that I've made, and I've got a lot more to be making with this, so much more. When you're making it, it's like you're doing it's an assemblage of plants, and it's like you're placing them, and it's a narrative there, it's the story, and that's part of that. That's probably one of the most joyous things, that, and actually taking the glass out, and then colouring it too. I really enjoy doing that because you're quite immersed in it. You're just trying to pick up the texture and the elements of it all. I just love it. I really, really love it. Once all the glass fruit's in there, all crushed up, then I take it over to the kiln over there. I'll set it on the hearth in there. I'll put a bed of sand on the hearth, and I'll place this on that. And then when I open the kiln and everything looks fantastic, as it should, hopefully, I open it up, I break it apart in the kiln because it's a pretty big kiln. So the idea is to have about, 10 pieces in there, all going at the same time. So I've got a lot more mold making to do. They look so delicate and fragile, but still so, they look so beautiful. I'm a bit biased about it, but yeah, I'm really, really happy with it. So this is my second set that I've made. So I'm pretty happy with that. The first one I've sold, which was great, and I explained to the client that it was a conceptual piece. So this has been cast, and it's been hand coloured, and it's been mounted. So these have been put into the mould, placed in the kiln, fired really high, and gone through the whole process, and then I've coloured it myself by hand. So how I've designed the mount system for this is that I've cut some brass rod, and I've drilled into a pitch of paver, which is bluestone, which was once originally a big bluestone brick, and it's been sliced. And then I've just drilled into that, and then I've just mounted it onto the pitch paver, so that way it's fully freestanding, and it's also two-dimensional, so you can also view it that way for this particular style of work, which is great.
So what drives you? What's your starting point for a day? What gets you out of bed?
It's in me all the time, which is great, but sometimes it's really exhausting because you've got an idea, and by the time you come into the studio, you've got 50 other ideas on where you can take that. So sometimes it's really hard for me to maintain my focus. I've got the drive is just there. I can't stop that. But my focus, I could be working on a piece, and then something will come to me. And then you sort of veer towards that without finishing something. Now I just want to take it to a different level, and where I can introduce my passion, my love for our nature. So that's where this is going. So I'm really happy with that.
And what about the challenge of the techniques that you develop? You've obviously got lots of different techniques.
Yeah, but funnily enough, when you're working, say with the casting, that's open face casting, you end up using a lot of the elements that you learn along the way just to form that one body of work that you're working on. So I'm very fortunate enough to be able to experiment a lot. I'm crushing glass all the time, so whether it's window glass or it's bowls or it's Bombay gin bottles, if you're still crushing, you just really need to learn the glass, how the glass melts. The Bombay looks really luscious and soft. Well, to me it does, but really it takes some time to get it to keep it at this clear, glossy, sort of shiny look like that. And then you can really go balls up and you get that matte look. So it's the same glass that's fired probably about 10 degrees higher, held the same time, and then you get two different looks.
Must make you feel good when people come in and A, like it, and B, buy it.
Yes. Buy it and like it, in that order.
There's some surprising aspects I've discovered just researching these films I'm doing. about what goes on behind the scenes. I mean, we've got all this beautiful, exquisite work here in the sales room, but behind that is a bunch of smashing glass with hammers and...
Yeah, and there's also smashing glass when you're not happy. I've done that a few times, probably more than a few, but the mess is like so much I've stopped smashing glass that way. But yeah, so did you want to...
But you've learned welding techniques.
So my partner has taught me how to use a TIG. So he started about 6 months ago. I tried twice and then I parked it for 6 months because it's just not me. And then I thought I'd give it another go. And so I'm doing some TIG welding now too. So I can do some more outdoor sculptural pieces also, and indoor, make my own stands, you know.
So tell me about how you got to know Donna.
Wow, that was about 4 years ago, I think, or 3 years ago. There was a call out for teachers to do some teaching at Polytech, and I inquired then about that position there. And then from there, we just sort of like stayed in contact on and off. And then I got a phone call from her about, in November. It was in November about the upcoming exhibitions at Polytech, and since then I've been exhibiting there, and it's just been fantastic. The opportunity that she's opened for me has just been, I'm very thankful for that. So it's an opportunity I'm not going to hold back on, and it's yes to everything basically. You know, I really want to embrace it all. So. And
what's your plan for the Melbourne Design Week?
Okay, so for the Melbourne Design Week, it's pretty much I'm doing these crushed bowls again, but the colours will be different, and there'll be a few different forms within that. So I have started making them, but I've used a different firing schedule.
What temperature?
This one is 846. I put that for 10 minutes. But that's, I'm still, because I did do one at 820. Which I think it was those ones. I'm not very good at doing my firing schedules because I had something else in the kiln with it, so I just sort of like put it in to see how it would go. But I will be doing them at about between 8:30 and 8:46, I think. So I won't take it any higher than that. But
8:30 and 8:46, very precise numbers.
Yeah, because I know how the glass fires at that temperature. So I've done. Pot firings. I've done casting with a crucible, which is a terracotta pot. You use the hole as where and that I had that in the kiln, I believe, at, just looking at my firing schedule, I think that was at 8:46 because that's what I also do the 96 at. So
it sounds to me like there's a few words that emerge as keywords for me. One is some experimentation, risk.
Yeah, reward afterwards.
Acceptance of failure, but looking for reward.
Yeah, well,
and remembering what you did when it's successful, so you can do it again.
Yeah, and there's also because sometimes you just like you're working with it, and you think you remember it, but you don't remember it, and so I do a lot of, which is not right. It's not right to do it that way, but when you're doing something a lot, then you know how the glass plays, and hopefully you can form a really good friendship with it, because it doesn't always work. Everyone else doesn't always work. It's like, what happened? You know, you have two pieces exactly the same, everything's the same, and you open it and one's didn't work and one comes up beautifully. So but there's also with this kiln here, there's a hot and a cooler spot, because I make really big bowls and I fire them quite high because I want them to fold into themselves, and one side of the kiln fires higher than the other one. So and that took a while for me to work that out, actually, because I just sort of thought, what's wrong with the kiln? I thought maybe one of the elements were damaged, but no, that's just how it is. When you're looking at the whole scene, you can see why I do a lot of different application processes, because I've got space for it. You know, I'm very fortunate to have this space, and I'm just crazy having all these kilns. But that's the way I've been able to do what I've come to know so far. You know, that they all have names. I talk to them all, and I use them all, not all at one time, obviously, but I know how they operate, and so when I'm making something, I know what temperature to fire just to make this bead here, like the neck of the Bombay bottle, to get that shape, to get that form. I know what temperature to fire that in my little kiln over at the entrance there. But if I was to fire this in this kiln over here, the big kiln, it will be a totally different temperature. I do use American art glass, but I have veered more to repurposing. It's just something, I think it's more challenging without offending anybody. But yeah, I just find for me it's more challenging, to make that work.